Have you ever done something that you thought would help, but you actually ended up shooting yourself in the foot? Hello, my name is Michael Stack, and I'm the CEO of Amax, and today I want to talk with you about this idea of the experience mod and the idea of how you're classified. So there's obviously a lot to the experience mod that we can go deep into that, but that's not really the point of today. The point of all you need to know today as far as this session is that the experience mod calculation is your actual losses over your expected losses. So your actual losses over your expected losses. And let's say your actual losses were 100,000, just for the sake of example. They could be a million or 10 million or 50 million or 50,000 or 10,000. Doesn't matter what your losses are. It's all about the ratio. So if your actual losses are 100,000 and your expected losses are 100,000, then your mod is 1.0. So pretty straightforward, pretty easy math there. I'm going to talk with you about a mistake that some companies make in regards to how they're classified. So sometimes companies will maybe kind of try to pull the wool over the rating bureau, or just try to maybe sneak a little bit, or say, oh, we're classified in this higher rated class code, but we want to try to save 20 or 30 or 40%, and we're going to try to maybe just call ourselves this lower rated class code. Okay, so great. So we're going to save on our premium initially. But what I want to describe is what actually happens to the mod. So what happens to the mod, and are you actually saving yourself money in that scenario? And that's kind of the question. So let's walk through some of this numbers and let's walk through some of this math. So if your actual losses are $100,000 and you reduce your class code by, let's say, 20% or 25%, and your expected losses now go down to 75,000. So your expected losses go from 100,000 to 75,000. You changed your class code down. So all the class code does is it sets an expectation for how many losses should occur. So how many losses should occur? If you're in a roofing contractor, your expected losses are a lot higher than if you're in an office building. Pretty straightforward. Your expected losses for that particular class code have a rating for them. The actuaries figured it out. They say, well, we expect you to have this many losses, and that's how the mod generally is calculated. So if you're in a lower rated class code, that means the amount of expected losses you're having is decreased. And look at this number, and I want you to just think for yourself, what is going to happen to your mod if your expected losses are lowered? So what is going to happen to your mod if your expected losses are lowered? If you can understand this relationship between actual and expected, you're going to understand the mod. You don't need to understand the whole formula, but you need to understand the actual versus expected idea. So what is going to happen to your mod if your expected losses are lower and your actual losses stay the same? What's going to happen is your mod is going to go up. Your mod is going to go up. And so when you're now doing your premium calculation, what you thought was going to save you 25% is actually going to come back in your mod. It's just going to be tacked right back on. The point here is two things. One, to understand the relationship of the numbers of the actual versus expected in the mod calculation. So actual versus expected, that's all the calculation is. And then two, don't do anything funky in regards to your class codes. Make sure it's done right. Make sure your class codes are done accurately. The more that you can work with your broker, the more you can work with a professional that understands how to properly classify your employees, is the better off you're going to be. You want to be in the right class code because you want to have the right expectation here as far as what's going to happen for your losses. If you don't, you are setting yourself up for failure and potentially shooting yourself right in the foot. Again, my name is Michael Stack. I'm the CEO of Amax. Remember, your work today in workers' compensation can have a dramatic impact on your company's bottom line, but it will have a dramatic impact on someone's life. So be great.